Hello, welcome to the Square Base Show. I'm your host, Rob, and I'm joined by Mr. Val Heffelfinger. He is from Canada. Please don't forget he's from Canada. And in this show, we are going to be talking about the resources that you can find online to help you play the old world.
Yes!
Ooh.
Robert, could an American dance that silly and look like a child entertainer? No. Just old Val.
I've been waiting all week for you to tell me whether or not you have made it into the Canadian Wiggles. So is that happening?
I have not made it into the Canadian Wiggles. No, it has not yet happened. But people are pulling for me. I hear I've got a good word in there for me.
I actually don't know what the Wiggles is, but sometimes dads tell me about it when they're at Warhammer events, and the look that comes over their face is indescribable. I can't. Sometimes I think it's pain. Sometimes I think it's joy. I'm never sure what the look is, though.
I just have to say that like there are a lot of like things you can do on the internet to get an audience and to perhaps as you do make a living at it. And one of them is children's entertainment. And thank your lucky stars every day that you are not Blippi. That's although Blippi is probably filthy stinking rich at this point. So maybe the joke's on us. The joke's on us.
You got this, Blippi. I don't know who you are, but good luck. Good luck. Blippi and Bluey living together, I think.
Bluey is fine. No, let's not conflate the two things.
I apologize. I don't know which one I'm demeaning there in that situation.
Definitely Bluey.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Bluey is a national institution, but we digress, Robert. We digress.
We do. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Thanks to everyone who's watching this. What's exciting about this show is this might be the show, the last show that we have as a YouTube channel and a podcast with under 10,000 YouTube subscribers. It's pretty exciting. Like I would say that like normally I'm not one who's too bothered about this stuff. I really have never been. Oftentimes I talk to a lot of content creators. They always say make one for you and one for them, and I've always been in the process of only making ones for me. Therefore, my growth has been fairly stymied by that. However, it has been really exciting to see everyone kind of tuning in over the past, like 30 days or, like 2 months or whatever. So it's
whatever
been fun.
Whirlwind we've been on. Yeah, no, it has been super fun. And like, number go up is always great. I think by the time we actually publish this video, we'll probably be over 10,000. But that's insane. Like I think the channel opened up on November the 4th. So everyone who has subbed, thank you so much. It means a lot to us.
Very
the comments are still frothy. We're still getting tons of engagement. I hope people are actually, starting. And now that we're actually getting into it, being able to play, life is good.
That's pretty exciting. I actually have my first, well, not my first game, but like my first real game lined up on Wednesday night. So a couple of days from now, in fact, tomorrow night, which is fun. Looking forward to that. And then, I think people around the world, like there's events popping up. People are booking stuff in. A lot of beginners events as well, which is fun to see. We could talk more about that in a bit. But yeah, it's been really exciting.
I've got some good pals coming over on Saturday. We're gonna do a teaching game. I'm gonna actually call it a learning game because I'll be learning and teaching at the same time. One of them is a buddy of mine that we used to play with. Probably the first person I played Warhammer Fantasy with ever. Actually, is gonna come out of retirement. He's gonna check out the old world. I'm so excited. I've been trying to get him to fall down the Warhammer rabbit hole for years now. So I'm very pleased about that, and we're going to learn the game on Saturday some more.
Oh, we love that. That's great. Well, I also had an event this weekend, so I know while watching this back, the content pipe has dried up a little bit at the moment, but that's just because I've been working super hard. But this week, I've got just a very chill week. I've got a Shatterpoint event on Saturday, which I'm playing in, and then which is my favorite game by far, just for everyone to know. So when everyone's like, I think Rob likes Old World more than Age of Sigmar, or maybe he likes Age of Sigmar more than Old World. You're all wrong. It's Shatterpoint. It's my favorite game. But I would let you know, I sold a total of 2 tickets to the Shatterpoint event this weekend, so no one else agrees with me. No one else. I don't even like Star Wars that much, but whatever. But So I've got a pretty chill week, so I'm going to be churning the content. I'm kicking the engine, starting again. So recording a bunch this week, which is very fun. But I had an Age of Sigmar event this weekend, Val. Sorry for going on. And then a bunch of the guys that came up are also playing at several of my square-based events, like at the TSN Arena. And they all brought up their 1,000-point armies, and they were all playing some like, how does this work, Warhammer? And it was just so fun. Toby was playing with his Chaos, and he was constantly trying to get like new upgrades on his Chaos Sorcerer Lord, which his Chaos Sorcerer Lord ended up as like strength 6 for no reason because he kept rolling the 6s, which is silly. Really, really fun. There was some great, like, the combats were really engaging. I will say the rules. Like, and it's really hard to express this unless you're like a really crunchy rules guy, lady, MB, whatever. But like #bast. But if you're a rules person, the rules should be rules for chess are just about like the game, right? They don't tell a story. But this is a game predicated on a story for the miniatures. They're like it's an actual like tale, and the rules do such an amazing job of creating constant story moments, which is so fun.
I think that's a concept that I think you helped me stumble upon earlier. I don't know when in this show, but just the idea that like mechanics drive storytelling. Each one of those mechanics creates an opportunity for something specific to happen. And so, yeah, they are a little cumbersome, but it does give a lot more, I don't know, granularity. It gives a lot more detail to the battle that's happening on the table. So it's really great. And I have to also agree that it's been fun. Because again, I've been living in 8th edition fantasy for about 2 years. Haven't really actively engaged with 40K or AOS or anything else. In Canada. Although I have played in the States, out in Rochester. And anyway, it's been fun seeing like people coming to it from 40K, especially the most recent edition of 40K, and being like, oh yeah, like building characters is so much fun. Like all of these upgrade options are so much fun. Like I forgot that this was something I really loved. And I'm curious if because GW has had this view of like simplification, but perhaps like the wrong kind of simplification. Like it is a hard line to walk sometimes between like, elegance and simplicity. And I would never call Old World elegant. It's definitely not elegant. It is an elephant with 2 left feet, but 4 left feet. But like, it is cool to have all of these things. And as we gain mastery of the rules and like it becomes a bit more of a second language to us, like these games are going to get really, really cool. And I already felt that like as like grinding as my first tabletop experience was last week, like in having to like reference and check things and look stuff up and all that kind of stuff, it was still a really satisfying game at the end of it. Richard was Tech Beach Dicky was very mad at me for having taken Orcs and Goblins, which each unit is like, and just goblins, so everything was random. Everything had like a half page of rules. I did not pick the easiest army for my first time out. Anyway.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, actually, do you know what? I think that's a great message early in the show for people who are out there about to play your first 1,000 points, going to play your first event, whatever. Take the time, like, Hazel in the chat saying, she's finding it unironically hard to learn the rules. I think that's, again, a really fair statement as well. Me too. Let's just take a moment. I'm also having to constantly re-reference stuff. This isn't because I'm some sort of king on a mountaintop. Like, what I mean is I've been trying to make, like, serious tactical videos. But, like, even that person who's dedicating that volume of time is still learning, relearning. Today, in one of our WhatsApp chats, I was just like, how do I enter a building? And then they were like, it's here. And that was literally the top of the sentence I was reading. I was like reading this sentence. I was like, thank you so much. Like, so like Warhammer's hard.
So often in that rule book, it's like, you're wandering the desert, like thirsty and hungry, and you just literally die on the doorstep of the tavern. Like you're right there. And like, if you just knew to look up and reach out, I'll use a Canadian reference. It's like getting lost between your house and your barn in a blizzard. That's kind of the experience of going looking. And what an amazing segue, Robert.
Well, yeah, exactly. Great segue, but I just wanted to round it off. Sorry to ruin it. Go
ahead.
Is that you should, in each one of your practice games, be taking the time to find the joy. Like, just say to yourself, like, oh, I've cast my first magic missile. I'm casting my first vortex. It's the first time I've ever unbound. I've rolled a double one. Do the fun stuff, like tell yourself, keep reminding yourself, reinforce that storytelling element as you play. I am a tournament gamer, but that does not mean that the story elements and the narrative of what the miniatures are removed from my gameplay. And I don't think they should be from yours. Not telling you how to play. Enjoy the process is what I'm trying to say, instead of just grind the process.
Yeah, and if I could follow up on that a little bit, I highly recommend, maybe like if you're used to playing with one person, if you have a group, like I have noticed like a lot of my like online Warhammer friends have been playing a lot of online games, but with people watching. They've been doing teaching games, but this is something we can start doing too. They've been, like communal, like a group together, like having someone whose job it is to like look up rules and references, which is what I'm going to do on Saturday. Like you can learn as a group, and it becomes more fun. The dynamic is there too, which is great, which is hopefully something that we also provide a little bit, little group learnings.
Little group learnings, which is a great segue in how to do some learnings better, because there is a huge swath of resources available, and Amazing. They're coming thick and fast, available online for people to do a bunch of stuff. And we're going to talk about some of those elements today. But I want to shout out everyone in the YouTube comments. If you're one of the silent masses on the podcast, any of you, if you have more suggestions, comments, messages, tweets, Facebook posts, anything you can do to let us know so we can tell more people. Also, obviously, share the video so people can see the ideas as well. Put them together. And then Val, definitely not me, will put all of the links to these things in the show notes, so you'll all be able to grab them, hopefully.
Yes.
All right, so what's the first one you want to start with, boss? Which one, boss?
Actually, since we're talking about rules, why don't we talk about, so previously I used to talk a lot about whfb.app, but now everybody, we've got tow.whfb.app. This is currently work in progress. So one thing about literally everything we're going to talk about today are community initiatives, a lot of times individuals working on these things. And it's amazing how fast they've been coming online and how fast these things have been getting created. I know I speak with the person who makes and manages this site, and they got the books and the information on launch day. That's when they got it, right? So like they are not hooked up, and he's already gotten almost all of the information in. The reason I'm making this preamble is some of these are works in progress. tow.whfb.app is a work in progress, but it's going to be an incredible resource as he continues to develop it. So if you go to this link, like as soon as this drops, and you're like, oh, this is lame, just come back to it in a week, because this guy will basically create a digital version of the rules that is gonna make your life referencing, searching, finding things so much easier. When I was playing 8th edition, this app was just incredibly useful, because you'll find as you're engaging with these rules and previous Warhammer fantasy rules, is that you'll look up a rule, and then that rule will tell you to reference another rule. Yes. Well, what's really wonderful about the person who designs these sites is he basically cross-links and backlinks everything. So if a rule is referenced within another rule, there's a hyperlink there. You go to it immediately.
Just for everyone who's listening to this via the means of audio, tow.app, it's TOW, do not do TOE. Very different app, very different. Still a great app, just as an FYI. Tow.whfb.app is the full thing. So like that'll get you directly to the old world version of this. He also, if you're an old head, if you really enjoy the other rule sets, I'm pretty sure at whfb.app, I think he's working on 4th edition or maybe 5th edition, has 6th, has 8th, has all of the Warhammer Armies Project rules, all of them digitized. And again, this is not just a PDF scan. This is a great rules reference. So this is something that makes actually engaging with and interacting with the rules just so much easier. I use this was Peter the Falcon used this when he was the TO of the first Square Bass GT, and he absolutely loved it for just being able to get things. The search function is fantastic.
So you can get it just helps so like remove the grind of referencing rules. And eventually in good time, I'm sure they'll add they'll start to add the actual army rules as well. But right now he's almost through the core rule book, and he messaged me. He's like, "Did you know that they write the same rule multiple times throughout the book?" And I was like, "Well, yes, in fact, I did, and that's why I can't wait for you to make sense of all this for me. Thank you."
So I've been reading through the terrain rules a lot the past 2 days because I'm planning on making some maps this week. Okay, I've got some great ideas for the map as well. I want to tell you about later, but I'll try not to make that part of today. And for everyone at home, I don't hate hills, just to be clear. But the bit that makes me chuckle is there was one comma, which was I was like, right, okay, how do you leave a building? And there's a comma, right? And I'm like, okay. Can you only? I had to reread it like 3 to 4 times. I was like, okay. That is a break, and I know obviously that's what a comma does, but it really challenges your literacy, which is, I think, only a positive for all of us, I guess. People also who skip read really struggle. Yeah. You have to read every word very seriously. So
yes, and also you kind of again, it's the totality of it. What's interesting too is if you go to because the rules are like scattered, they're it really, the book did need another edit, which is actually what I think something like this is going to do, is it's going to make it so that it's much more able to be used as a reference, like the core rules. But one of the issues too is when we did the magic review, for example, I had a table and there were a list of conditions on one side, and we're actually there's been some requests on Patreon to release some of our slides and content as references, and I think that one's a good one. But in the conditions side, those conditions actually came from multiple different locations in the actual rulebook. So they weren't all referenced from one magic area. They were referenced from there's lots of stuff hidden in the sort of odd scenario section that follows a lot of the phase summaries. They're referenced in sort of offhandedly in a very particular area. So as time goes, we'll learn where these things are, but something like this, again, tow.whfb.app, will be really essential for making your life a lot easier, especially at the table.
Yeah, I think I would like to make a bunch of sheets for people to have references to, but yeah, I don't want to say that because actually that's a little bit I would say that if you can get yourself a old tablet, and a phone that someone isn't using, one of those things, and just load that up as well with quick references. I think we do live in the digital age. That's something that's very possible. But I was a little bit reticent to say that because I'm like, oh yeah, Rob, I'll just go get another phone. I'm like, okay, I apologize. When rent's £1 bajillion or whatever. So sure, I'm not saying get another phone. I'm saying there might be a way to get a cheap something that can, and now because all of the PDFs have been written now from people have bought the EPUBs, turned them into PDFs. They're all over the internet, so they're widely available and free, which is great. Love that. That's great because you can't buy the rule book. So
yeah, it's a bit hard to actually get the stuff, and people are still grabbing their paper. But I wrap it after coveting, waiting so long for all the rules to get here and stuff. I still find myself referencing yearning for the PDFs that I have, because I just find those easier to engage with, especially if I'm just noodling around. This is even better than PDFs. It's fantastic. So yeah. I think we did it to death. I think this is just going to be wonderful. Again, please be patient with the site. It's going to develop at a rapid pace, but it's not 100% there. And this is done completely. This is a thing that they do mostly for themselves, to be able to reference the rules more easily. But it's a great asset for the community. So thank you to the developer. And it's wicked.
So the next one is my personal favorite so far, because once you know the rules, you need to build some lists. And so the old-world-builder.com is available. And again, let's put the links below. And this is, you can just build your lists. And a godsend. I stayed up until the wee hours the other night. I have a lot of lists. Do you want to see some more lists? One of my other lists is big spells. Naming lists is the best part. Like, I don't know how you write lists, but yeah, I've got donkey punches and big spells at the minute. I'm working on a few more.
Excellent.
But yeah, the building. So this is where you can obviously just build your lists, and it's got all the functionality. So you can just see if I want a unit of, I don't know, Chaos Marauders. Here you can see if I'm going to give them any of the different upgrades. You probably still need the rule entry for the unit in your hand. You know, you're still going to have to look up what flails do, what great weapons do, as an example.
Yep.
What the different armor, the marks, all that other stuff. But it gives you the option to just chunder all the points together. I really like this. I personally don't need there to be a rules reference in conjunction with this. But like, we'll talk about that in a bit. This is great. It's fast. It works really well. I think all of them are on there now already. You can import lists, which is good. You can. It just has cookies, so it just saves my lists. So I was doing this on my phone, and then I went on to on my computer, and it just had all of my lists. So
did you create an account?
I created an account. Yeah.
So that's what gave you the cross-platform.
Yeah.
Because it'll save it to your browser if you're just anonymous. I think, does this one have an account? I think it does. No, this one doesn't have an account. Never mind, I'm talking smack. Then you have a setting where your cookies are saved and like they transfer back and forth between your different devices. Because if you didn't have that, it would actually only be on your phone and it would only be on your desktop, which is just something to be mindful of. But you can also export and import, which is super handy.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Like, I like this a lot. Like, good for people who are like talking with their friends, and then they're, like, oh, help me amend my list. You could like send them a list, and they can import it. They can tinker around with it for you as well, which I think is nice.
The export of the list is also super clean. So like you can make it. You have some like ability to like make it more compact, so that when we're getting into events and you want to share your army list. It actually it will actually be much more succinct. It's not it's not like the battle scribe output, unless you know how to like do all the settings properly, is like always very, very too much. Whereas this is actually very, very clean, I find. So it looks nice and it's very readable.
It's also very fast. Like, it was very, very fast. And I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is when you're just clicking stuff through. Echo Scorpion, thanks for resubbing. And everyone in the chat. Hello, chat. Lovely to see you all.
Fully web-based, and it can also be downloaded. I know at least on Android, you can download it as sort of a web app, so it can just be on your phone. Same is true, by the way, for the previous website. You can download the whole thing, to your phone, so that way you don't need to have data to access it. If you play in a standard gaming dungeon and don't have good cell phone signal, you don't need to. You can just save these things to your phone, and then they're fully referenceable, which is great.
Okay, well, I love this. I personally think this is like the game changer. This is what I want for my life. And again, rules references, I'm going to make those references anyway. I'm going to, like, most of the stuff I think I know off the top of my head most of the time anyway. And stat lines, I'll have either a PDF or a book. But again, I'll know that off the top of my head. It's great. Dude, this is so good. I'm stoked. Like, between the digital resources... Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is so good. And it also was created like that by the community. So the people behind this, if you scroll to the bottom, there's an about link there. You can actually participate. You can it's all done through GitHub. So like you can participate by reporting, errors or omissions or anything like that. But yeah, it's just amazing how fast they put it together.
Also available already in German, French, and Spanish.
Yes. Saw some YouTube comments about the translations out there of Old World not being so great. So
the official one from Games Workshop, not this website, which will be much better. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, I would say that one, as far as a army builder is concerned, sort of does what it says on the tin. It's Old World Army Builder, and that's what it does. I'm sure these guys are going to add functionality over the time, but there is another army building app, or site, which I've encountered, which I think is really, really, really good, and it's called newrecruit.eu. Mm-hmm. Have you messed with this one much, Rob?
No, no, I haven't. The other one was free, and that's all I needed. So, like,
New Recruit also free. So like this, it does have basically if you chip them a donation or something, you can unlock some additional features. But New Recruit is also free. Why don't we click here and try it now? We can show off what it does, because this does something that I think is really, really clutch for actually playing the game. So New Recruit comes from the Ninth Age group who have apparently you have used New Recruit at some point.
This isn't me. I think
okay.
We had the Ninth Age Masters here the other day, and they streamed from my computer. So I think this is those guys doing some Ninth Age stuff.
Bring up a Ninth Age list, because it'll show you. It'll be close enough. These don't. Right now in New Recruit, they have just the core factions. Okay, so yeah, this is actually just the playing with list. Okay, because I wanted to show some of the army building features, but
yeah, unfortunately, I haven't Okay, so New Recruit, and then it's got a feature when you when you actually put the units in, right?
Yeah. So what I really, really love about this is that it creates consolidated unit cards. So once you actually built your lists, you can basically click on one of the unit entries, and it will show you all of the rules as well as the unit profile and all that sort of stuff. So from New Recruit, you can build like a proper battle scroll or data slate for each unit, again making reference that much easier for you when you're starting to learn the game. So that's really what to me made New Recruit stand out. And also when you're building a list, each one of the options as you're building it will have a little basically eyeball icon next to it. You can click on it and you'll be like, oh, that's what that magic item does. Oh, that's what spears do. So for me, who has a whole lot of trouble holding all of this information, even after really being immersed in it for a while now, I still struggle with a lot of the USRs and stuff because I haven't had a lot of on the table action, which is where I really implant information. When it's all just sort of philosophical, it's hard for me to keep straight. So I find New Recruit, the combination of being able to reference rules and also army build at the same time, really, really useful. And as far as I know, Tow, as it's known in there, doesn't have any sort of pay to play features because obviously they don't own it. So it's when you're actually building old world lists, I find it to be very good. And because it's also an army builder that's been sort of developed for Ninth Age and has been in use for a long time, I feel like they've
worked out a lot of the bugs.
Worked out a lot of bugs and some more, I think, advanced functionality, which is really great. So I've really, really liked my time with newrecruit.eu. I switched over to it from oldworldbuilder.com. Both are fantastic. Again, it's one of those things where you can where it's web-based, but you can save it to your phone. If you create an account, also, all of your stuff will follow you around. That's not something I think Old World Builder has. Old World Builder is all done through cookies in your browser.
Okay. Yeah.
Whereas this, if you logged in somewhere with your account, you'll get all of your lists and things. Army Builder, newrecruit.eu is this one. And
you might have
really,
convinced
really like
me. You might have convinced me. You might convince me to move across.
One downside of newrecruit.eu right now is that they only have the core factions so far. They're working on the legacy factions. That's probably going to be an any day now type thing. So by the time, who knows when you're watching this, it might already be a thing. But right now, it's still only core factions. So if you want to be list noodling with the renegades, using oldworldbuilder.com is the best option right now.
Which is our name for legacy factions. Some people have got pissy that we use that all the time, but we're going to keep using it because it's fun.
Absolutely.
It's fun.
It's fun, and also I would much rather you be like, what the hell is a renegade faction, than continue to refer to them as legacy or legended. Because the more we ignore them and just use them, the more likely it is that they'll just let us use them and support them properly and provide errata and updates. So that's it.
So I'm gonna share my next one, if that's a vibe with everyone else.
Would love to.
So mine is some fan-made content. So I love a bit of that. So obviously a lot of us. So one of the things that I find very disingenuous with the conversations that are occurring online is people saying things like, well, if you don't buy the books, honestly, sorry, if you don't buy the books or you don't buy the models and how will the game survive and stuff. And I don't know if anyone's aware of the term astroturfing. especially like big corporate accounts that like do Reddit threads and the amount of bot farming that's done in actual proper advertising. But it kind of like dawned on me this morning. I was reading Reddit, and then I was like, oh my God, Games Workshop is actually so bad at advertising. They don't even use like the very standard evil practices that normal corporations use, like astroturfing for products and other such stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure,
and I'm
yes.
like, and you do it for them, dear listener. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Anyway, because most of the, and as you can see, here's me supporting the company with my Law of Magic cards worth £8,000 on the internet. And my Kingdom Bretonnian cards unsealed, probably because I'll sell it. And then my Magic Items cards, Tomb King cards, I did sell to my friend Sid at a gross markup of £2.
Exorbitant price.
£2 markup. I was like, get scalped, Sid.
I will say that I genuinely put mine up for auction, and they sold for a pretty penny to a viewer of the show. So shout out to the person who bought my stuff on eBay. Who we were chatting. We were chatting on the eBay Messenger, and they did pay. They paid good money. So I'll be sending a little extra Easter egg of dwarf goodness along with
you little angel. You little angel.
You know. I mean, they're a supporter of the show, so maybe they felt like it was going to at least a decent place. But anyway, yes, auctions on the eBay getting pretty frothy right now for cards.
So, well, if you can't be asked with any of that and can't even be bothered with the standard price of what cards are, someone has made it so that they have made a bunch of magic cards. You can see them here. The Google link will be in. And these are not for reproduction, replication, or anything like that. These are references so that your special cards that you've purchased from Games Workshop can go in your collector's sleeves and sit on your shelf. And then these can be the cards that you use safely on the tabletop where you're spilled drinks and other stuff, and obviously
Cheeto fingers.
Yeah, exactly. So these are not meant to replicate them. So obviously only use these if you've bought the actual cards, of course, etc., etc. But as you can see here, lovely. There's a link in the chat. You can buy them a coffee. I bought this guy from the Squarebase Patreon. We bought them 10 coffees.
Wow.
Which I thought was very good of us. But as you can see here, Demonology. One of the things that is actually, I'm going to do this now, actually, live on air. I'm going to kind of showcase something I'm quite upset about, actually, like, if you don't mind. So here's the cards. Here's the spell cards. Here we go. Right. So you got Glittering Robe, which is an illusion spell. But what breaks my heart is all the backs are the same.
I know, right?
I want Fireball to be from the red fiery deck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it actually really upset me more than I thought it would.
Yes, I know. And anyone who didn't play 8th doesn't realize, like, the backs used to each College of Magic had, and actually subsequently each faction lore would have like a really cool, like, I don't know, drawing on the back to represent that faction of like a wizard from that lore. And they just went with generics on the back. So anyway, yes, big bummer there.
So someone has done like the work that GW wouldn't. And then as you can see, if you're getting some spells from the Forces of Fantasy, your high elf cards have got some cool high elf artwork, as well as all of the information that you need on here as well, which is cool. And I also adore that the designer credited themselves on the card. Like, I adore that to a degree I can't begin to describe. Like, at the bottom of the card, they were like, also, I did this, scarring.
Fantastic. These are super handy.
Yeah, these are great. So I most likely will be, and these are, as you can see, they've got a bleed, so you can get these printed out, and then you can use them as your backup cards. And in no way does anyone who doesn't have these, please don't use them if you haven't actually bought the cards. That would be something that would honestly make me so sad.
Yes. I mean, all of these are references to be used with your paid for print copies. Of course. Goes without saying, Robert. Thank you.
Don't even need to say it.
Our attorney is pleased that we said it, though.
Yeah. And don't forget, this show is only for entertainment. Of course.
I think what we can actually do is, I don't know if that was a Honest Wargamer hosted file, but maybe that's where we can stash some of our own game aids.
No, it's not. No, it's not actually our. It's not us. Someone else.
Oh, okay. It's not us. Okay, so never mind. So Square-based game aids will be linked somehow differently, and we'll tell you where when we get there. Shall we talk about some online ways to play while we round this one out?
I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to. So next one. This one looks really interesting. Haven't seen this before. So this next one, give me a second. I'm just doing some very fast editing
no
on
problem.
the scenes. Here you go. So we've got, what is this? What is this? Because I immediately love it, whatever it is.
So this is warhall.eu. Again, this is basically this is a to give a quick. This is TT. So basically, right now, I'd say what most people use to play, Warhammer online is something called Tabletop Simulator, which we'll talk about for sure. This is a completely designed game for use with tabletop battle games, war games, and it was developed by the people behind, or at least some people adjacent to Ninth Age. So it was designed for Ninth Age, which mechanically works exactly like Warhammer Fantasy. So it's very, very well suited to being used for playing games of Old World. One amazing thing about Warhall that I've and I'll get to some significant downsides is that it interacts with newrecruit.eu. So essentially, you create your list in newrecruit.eu and then you import it to Warhall very seamlessly. And your army just appears in the deployment area, and it's good to go. Literally a couple of clicks, which is alone is amazing. And then the features, like essentially, I was able to get to a place where I felt very confident that I could play a game of fantasy probably within 10 minutes of installing the app on my computer. And that's not the experience you're going to have with TTS. Full stop. Period. The experience with TTS is going to be very, very different because it's much more, it's much more community driven. It's not purpose built for wargaming.
Yeah.
And it's all pirated assets. The other thing that's nice about this is that,
inspired by assets.
Inspired by assets. No, straight pirated in most cases. That's actually another really good benefit, I think, of Warhall is that these guys have been at it for a while. The Ninth Age people developed Ninth Age from the mindset of, we're going to get sued. So I think they're very careful with, the basically the IP and the content that they do appropriate. So I would feel much more confident in Warhall in the sense that, it's not going to get, removed from the internet and, you no longer have access to the things that let you play. So I really, really like Warhall a lot. And at just first blush, I think maybe Rob and I, it would be great to maybe do a demo game.
Let's try to play a game together. Yeah, that sounds fun.
So here's the downside, Rob, because it's pretty significant. So you sign up, you create an account, and you get 30 days to play for free.
Yep.
And then what happens is after your 30 days, it is a subscription-based game, and the subscription is
Let me guess.
Go ahead.
£12 a month.
On a monthly basis, it's I think €12 a month is not wrong. I think if you scroll down, maybe you can find a pricing tab. I don't want to misrepresent it, but it's very high on a monthly basis. And my assumption here, and this is going to be there we go. It's expensive.
Can I disagree?
Okay, all right. Please disagree.
So this would be, if I've got this right, this is $6 a month, $6 to $9 a month or something. If I bought the 12 month, if I bought the 12 month, that would be somewhere around $10 a month, about $120 a year. I argue that I think looking at it now, obviously I've not used it, and you get to try it for 30 days for free. I don't know. This feels very cheap.
So it depends on how you look at it. My thing is, I want more like. At first blush, again, I want to get deep into it, but I would love to see people using this as the platform. And maybe there's something, I don't know. Warhall, if you have a developer of Warhall, or if you know somebody, please reach out to us. Because I've actually gotten targeted advertising from Warhall, I think on Facebook. So they're clearly seeing this as an opportunity. But this to me looks like a group doing an expensive thing, which is developing a game for a very niche community, needing with basically a fee that needs to meet that, right? Like it's expensive to run this, the servers to run this, the development costs, all that kind of stuff. I understand people need to make, but to get people in the door, I would love to see some something else on the pricing, and maybe there's a promo code or something we can get them to do. I don't know.
Well, there is like, I mean, there's 30 days to try out, right? Like, that's your answer. Mm-hmm. Like, more than anything, there's 30 days to go for it, which I think is very, very reasonable. So, yeah, I'm going to say this is definitely on my list. You've given me two amazing things here. I'm hype. This is great. I'm going to try both.
Yeah, Warhall, I'm so excited to get going with it. And especially with New Recruit, makes the process so easy, because the alternate to this, which is TTS, Tabletop Simulator, which is, I would say, the current go-to option for playing fantasy and others online, is all done with community-created. Essentially, you download TTS, and it's a three-dimensional sandbox, and you can play any game that you like in it as long as someone's made the assets for it. And so, finding those assets, you would do it through the Steam workshop. And right now, if you were to go looking for, I don't even know if I want to publish if I want to say it out there. But anyway, if you look for Old World in the Steam Workshop, you're probably going to find some stuff. And there's some really good stuff. And there's there's one contributor who's done some really, really awesome, assets for the different armies, and also a table to play on. There's also a table to play on that you can download that's actually for Warhammer Fantasy. If you were to look for, I don't know, Warhammer Fantasy table, you might find it. And that one is a really excellent basis. That was a friend of mine, Danny, that I do Grim After Dark with. He pointed me out to that one. Really great basic table for playing in TTS. And again, tons of assets out there. The big, I'd say, negative to TTS versus something like Warhall is, again, TTS is designed to be able to handle anything. And if you've already, there's a lot of people out there who just put their time in during the pandemic and learned how to get through all of the annoying. It's basically the Warhammer of video games. If you want it bad enough, TTS is going to work for you really, really well. But there are just so many barriers to getting a game going, including once you have your army, you got to put literally. It's like getting ready for a game in real life, except you're wearing oven mitts and a really tight sweater. So because you have to manipulate everything in 3 dimensions, it's very hard. And you've got to get all your guys ranked onto trays. And you got to find the trays. You got to figure out all the ways people have found to actually do things like wheels and movement on trays, which, by the way, has been solved by the community. It is all totally possible to do it in TTS. But in something like Warhall, literally your army appears on the sidelines, and it's designed for a rank and flank game. So every inch is measured correctly when you're wheeling or pivoting on the spot or any number of things. So I have to say that for the cost, because TTS is going to cost you money up front anyway, I feel like Warhall is by far the best. It can also be played web-based from what I can tell. So I don't know. Warhall does seem to be the best, and it also feels like the most likely to survive because, again, all of the assets are not stolen. They're all just, the games may look less good because, you're not maybe using models that are taken from, I don't know, Total War. But so the games may not on the table look quite as stunning as it can in TTS. But I think the functionality of it is just so overwhelmingly awesome. Even something like when you're scoring in Warhall, because both players can import their lists, when you're doing kill points, there's a scorecard that'll pop up, and you just click on the item in your list to add up the kill points as you go. Just something like that. I'd be tempted to have.
Let's give
Warhall. I'd be tempted to have it open while I'm playing in real life, because that just makes life so much easier for scorekeeping. So yeah, I'm breathlessly enthusiastic for Warhall.
I can tell, very keen. All right, well, listen, if there are people, we have someone in the chat. So Laggy, the Ninth Age, I use Warhol for Ninth Age as a game changer.
Yes.
So listen, everyone's going to be doing something different. And I think the best bit about this show and all the other shows is that as a community, we're all developing assets, ideas, thoughts, and things to do, which is fun. So drop them in comments, share them with your friends, do these things, give us feedback. I don't like it because of this, because honestly, like, we should be looking for feedback. We should be looking for ways to improve what we're all doing together as a community, because that is the best thing about a community, right? Like, is developing those things. So, okay, love this. This is cool. This is the end of the series of lists, right?
There's actually one more I want to shout out, actually, which is something called Universal Battles 2, which I didn't give you a link to. But you can probably Google it real fast. But Universal Battles 2 does not, as far as I can tell, have any like pre-made assets. It's kind of like TTS, except it's basically 2 dimensions, so it's top-down only. So it will look very bare bones, but again is built for wargaming. And so I think as an option for the community to develop assets for, as an alternative to probably Warhall, I think Universal Battles 2, again, easier and more accessible from a mechanics point of view to be used for tabletop wargaming. Right now, out of the box, you can play Kings of War on here, so it has the assets for Kings of War. So I think certainly someone out there in the community will build stuff for Old World. It's wide open right now, as far as I can tell. It's very underutilized. I don't think a lot of people are using this. I remember when I first started playing 40K, people used this a lot. I think the Ninth Age group, the Ninth Age people used to use this a lot before maybe switching to something like Warhall. It's, again, very bare bones, can be played on a lot of different platforms, is sort of a open source or community created. So it does look like a really good potential option. But right now, I didn't see much stuff already going for Old World. It wasn't like TTS. It wasn't like Warhall or even TTS, where I was able to get the assets I wanted very quickly. This one looks like it's still we got to figure out where to look to find stuff to actually play games of Old World with it.
Okay,
but as far as like a platform is concerned, I think it's like well worth a look. But Warhall for me is clear number one.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Lovely. That's a great list of stuff, like where to get the rules, how to build lists, how to play the game, especially if you're not near people. I got one little shout out, if you don't mind. Of course. We have just made our first. Look at these. Oh, you can't see it. There you go. Our first angle widget things. Have you seen these?
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. This is fun. So these are cool. So these are little for finding your angles on a tray. Am I making
for your line of arc or arc of sight? Arc of sight.
Yeah.
For your arc of sight. These are really, 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 really handy widgets.
Although loads of people sell them, I'd like to be clear. They're available.
Yeah, but not as cool as that.
They're available everywhere. We've got them on our website, and then I'm going to today. Make sure you remind me to do it. Going to put the STL up for the Squarebase Patreons, so nice. That they can print it themselves. But we're also, Beautiful. If you don't have a printer, we'll sell them. We'll sell them as well. I think the big one might be too big. It's fucking huge.
The big one looks to be about as big as the one that we handed out at the Squarebase GT, which was a cut piece of plastic. But
so the little one was specifically designed for like 30 mil stuff. All of this stuff is super interesting. Shout out to Marcus, I think he's in the chat still, who's also helping me work on a wheel movement shape as well. There's a bunch of different like little physical assets, because I think one of the things that happens is when we all look at all this stuff like on Warhall or TTS or any of these other things, some of those things are kind of mechanically done. So producing resources for people so that they can buy all of those physical addendums like cards and other stuff, I think is one of those things that I'm very personally interested in, because I'm most excited about playing on the tabletop. Yes. I like, you and me definitely are going to play some games on Warhol. Like, we're definitely going to do that. But I'm going to pretty much hate it. Like, I can just already feel it in my... Like, I just like the physicality of... Which is why I play wargaming, right? Versus everything else.
I will say that they're poor proxies, but I will say that when you're just looking to try something... or if you want to just practice and get your head around it, they are really, really useful. And there are some people who engage with these games now entirely through TTS. And like for the 40K TTS scene is significant. The Old World scene, especially since models are hard to come by, this could be a good way to keep the game alive while, people, the production meta catches up and all that kind of stuff. gets people out there trying stuff. I'm really, really pleased that these things exist. You mentioned as well, feedback and providing that. A team like Warhall, they're professionals. They're looking to actually make money off of the platform. So, you can give them feedback as a business. But a lot of these things that we've mentioned are largely just community supported and built resources for people who said, I want that for myself. Here it is for everyone else too. So for them, don't be a shithead. Not that I think everyone would be, but if something's not there, polite feedback is good. Remember, we're early days. So like a lot of stuff is still being updated in, for example, in New Recruit. Again, only core factions available at this second. But I'm sure any day you'll see the rest of the Renegade factions appear. So really, really awesome stuff from the community so quickly is great to see.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. It's been really fun. I've got to shout out, before we kind of wrap up the show, I've got to shout out also that we've been getting shout outs, which has been pretty insane. So shout out to Goobertown Hobbies, especially on his most recent podcast. He said that he wasn't, I don't want to, you can go listen to the bit he talked about, but he was talking about the fact that he wasn't too sure about the old world returning, old miniatures, an old way to play, a bunch of other stuff, although it hit him in the nostalgia. But he'd been watching the show and it got him excited to realize that there was other people who were going to try and and there is many other creators and tournament organizers and other people that are going to help produce a community and a scene other than us. So let's just shout those all out as well. But they were he was just excited to see some other people be excited about a project. And that is fun. Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. So shout out to Goobs for that. That was a nice, enjoyable little bit.
And to give the correct shout out, that's actually the Paint Bravely. So Paint Bravely, the podcast, was where they were talking about it. It was really, really cool. I mean, I think maybe gave us a little more credit than deserved. But nonetheless, there are so many people out there very, very excited to actually get out there, play this game, organize events, do things, create assets and apps and all that sort of stuff. We've been lucky to be able to, garner an audience and a platform. So I'm glad to be able to shout out these people who are doing stuff. And thank you very much to the Goobs on the podcast for the kudos. At least we're entertaining. Good for painters to have on in the background. That's nice to hear.
No, painters don't want. That's why painters listen to lore videos. They want no emotional highs. Okay, because if you laugh as you're painting, they say, whoop.
That's time. That's lost time.
That's lost time. No, that's why everyone's like, why are YouTubers, why are lore YouTubers so popular? No emotional spikes, just complete
I will say, and you guys can add this in the comments. I have seen a lot of comments of people being like, "Thanks, I've been listening to you guys while painting, and I've gotten X amount done," which makes me feel great about the complete nothingness that I've gotten done. Like anyone working on hobby projects and stuff and armies, so glad that we've given you something to listen to.
Yeah, and posted pictures. #SquareBased. Make sure you SquareBast. Hashtag square blessed, whatever you want to hashtag at this point. Right, cool. So you are playing on Saturday. I'm playing on Wednesday. That's pretty fun. I'm going to be putting out a whole bunch of new army overviews over the next few weeks, which is I'm very much looking forward to. I honestly can't make them fast enough, which is kind of breaking my heart, but I'm really enjoying the process. Hope people still are excited about it. I know, as we get deeper in. But hopefully that's resources people can keep going back to all the time, which is decent.
Yeah, they're really wonderful, Rob. Keep it up at whatever pace you can handle. I love them every time they drop, so keep it up, bud. We love it.
Perfect. Well, listen, thank you to everyone, especially everyone on the Squarebase Patreon for being superstars. Everyone in the Twitch chat for being absolute 11 out of 10. And then, just you, buddy. Buddy, you got any shout-outs? Anyone want to holler at?
I will do one. We've shouted them out before, and they asked for a collab, Rob. So I don't know. I said talk to my agent, Rob Symes, but
and they were like, "And we tried. He just doesn't get back to us."
The Dwellers Below had a really, really great episode on list building, and there's some OGs of fantasy podcasting. I don't feel bad shouting them out. I would really, really recommend their last episode. Really cool. 4 guys who clearly know how to be event gamers. It was really great, and a lot of cool ideas came out of that for me personally. So shout out to that.
Yeah, they're great guys. Like I've been long-time fans, which has been lovely. So yeah, I'm really excited to see them back and a bunch of other creators as well. So thanks for listening to Square Based. Like, comment, subscribe, leave some comments, all that other jazz. And I just want to thank again everyone for the support. It's stunning. I'm still kind of amazed by it all, but thank you. You're all great. Thank you to the Twitch chat. Thanks everyone. See you soon.